What's good, bro?
What's happening with you, man?
Everything. You know, making it happen from here to there.
You know what I am.
Of course I do. You dark, though.
Nigga, no, who am I, gang?
My nigga. Oh, that's Shake, nigga. That's That's
Yeah, that's shit.
Oh, yo, Shake, what's good?
What's happening?
You know it's dark out, nigga. I can't see you. I ain't seen you in like 20 years. Hey, Rocky, come see Shake. Rocky. This nigga got Shake out there. Oh, what's good? I like those glasses, my nigga.
Hey.
I haven't seen this nigga in like 20 fucking years. I'm about to have a baby.
Okay. About to have a baby. Congratulations.
Know what I mean?
That look like you. Sure you a rockin' down, baby.
You better go ahead. You still look like a little baby gator. You better stop it. I said, who's that old ass nigga out there? Shake still look the same age. That's funny. When you look old when you're young, then you never get older looking. Oh, shit, we got the block. I see Jason Jeter. Anna K, what?
What's good, bro?
What's up, Jason? What's good?
What's the word, man? What's the word? I was looking at Raquel's baby bump like I got a baby bump over here to
Yes,
show you.
it's real. You see that? That's the block right there.
Oh, I see.
I ain't seen that nigga shaking like 20 years. God, that's crazy. I was like, shit. Oh, shit. Yo, hey, Jason, what's good up in Atlanta?
Huh?
What's good up in Atlanta?
I mean, you know, same old, man. Just trying to stay healthy and productive.
I might be by there next week or the week after. I got to show homie some shit. He out there.
Word. Oh, yeah, your man out here moving around. I've been seeing him online.
Yeah, they gave him some old big, fucking, I don't know, man. He moved everything up there, but he doing. Yeah. But I just finished this movie.
How when you come to the town, you already know.
Definitely. I just shot a movie. I just finished editing the movie I shot last week.
Okay. So you play it? You about to play it?
No. I'm about to play this right here is a documentary about my man Carlton that's from my block.
Oh, got it. That's what's up, man. Peace, Tony.
Hey, Carlton, y'all out there?
Yeah, we are.
Which I got it on the screen.
Yeah, my iPad.
All right. I got it on the block. That's good.
I'm only getting the iPad. I don't want no iPhone.
I can dig it. Yo, now you should get an iPhone. Yo, nobody saw it yet, right? Nobody out there saw it yet, right?
Nah.
I bet.
Nothing, nigga. You talking?
What time is it when you want to start?
It's 5:04.
How many people up? I can't see. We got the congressman. What's up, congressman? What's happening? What's good? Anna K? That Anna K I know?
Yeah.
Hey, let me see you. Let me see you, Anna K.
Hold on.
Hey, congressman, I think we got him now. Congressman, I can't see you. Hey, you know you got a congressman on the line, right?
No, I ain't know that.
That's Congressman Andre Carson. He's serious. That's a serious congressman right there.
How y'all doing?
Say it.
How y'all? I'm wearing my shades. I told you, Rob hit me in the eye.
You gotta stay off them bikes, bro. Let me see Anna K. You got supermodels on there. You got Jason Jeter. You know who Jason Jeter is? I'm gonna tell you. Yo, we got Jason Jeter, Phil Davis. Oh, we got Dennis up there. We got principals at OSG.
Yo, how you know who's up there?
I can see it.
What you looking at?
I can see everybody. You can't see?
What up, Dave?
What up, bro? Uh-oh. Team Soprano, the tech company is on there. I gotta talk to y'all.
You see?
Dr. Malik, we got principals on there, movie makers. We got principals, congressmen, supermodels. We cracking. We got hip-hop legends like Jason Jeter. Y'all should Google Jason Jeter if you don't know who he is. T.I., Travis Scott, and all that. all kind of platforms. What you just bought Def Digital, right, Jason?
All deaf, all deaf.
All Def, it's all Def?
Yeah.
All right, how's that going? I got to show you what I'm doing with Homeboy. All right, so I think we should get started. So I appreciate everybody for coming through. I've been very productive during the during the corona. I hope everyone else has and been safe making movies, but I think it's important to always, make content and always have something completed and showcase it. And this particular docuseries, OG Stories, this particular episode is really based on one of my brothers from my block. Put it on mute, Carlton.
No, I do not.
You know what I said? Put it on mute. You don't know how? Tell somebody to put it on mute.
Put it on mute?
Yeah, because it's going to be playing the whole time, so they don't hear you. You know you did it last time.
Nah. Oh, I see it. Hold on.
Here you go. Live from 142nd Street. I love that. That's my block. Oh. Yo, where's everybody else? Tell them to get up. I want to see them. Where they at? He muted himself. All right, that's cool. Let's play it.
Okay.
You can hear it?
Yeah.
I'm a guy that's cut from a different cloth. I live by different ideals. And where I learned these ideals was from my life before the music, before the fashion, before the movies. I came up in a place where honor meant everything. And there were different kind of superheroes. These people are people that you hear about in your rap records today and your songs. They make movies about them. People glorify the streets every day. But I personally saw the streets and I personally know these people. These are the people that I consider OGs. This is the reason why I think their stories need to be brought to light. So just sit back, relax. You don't have to experience pain to learn from it. Just enjoy. Now this story is particularly close to me. You see, I was from 1199. That was considered town. But I hung out on 142nd Street in Lenox. I considered that my block. I always loved my brothers from 142nd Street because they accepted me as if I was born there. I took pride in surviving on that block, and it was a brotherhood that I don't think most would understand. That block has always been special to me, and I think it also defined me. It's the DNA of who I am today. I knew Colin since I was 16, and he's always been a good dude. We were always cool, and he's always been a loyal friend. I consider him my brother. I was also cool with Lou Sims, another member of the Lynch Mob. I met him through my OG Danny, but that's another story. Carlton did 18 years for 2 bodies. He did his time like a man, and I believe he's learned from his experience.
Colin, original Lynch Mob member. So whoever has a phone right now that can read, Google the Lynch Mob, Blue Sims, whatever, 142nd. This is my nigga Colin, my brother. Fuck my nigga, this is my brother. How long has it been?
Have we known each other?
Yeah.
87.
87?
87, yeah.
So we have a brother in common, and only because of the brotherhood of the block, which I respect. His name is Lou Sims. And again, people put him in raps all the time.
Yeah.
And while we were riding, when I first picked him up, Lou actually happened to call me, and it's like, he's my homie, he's my brother. I've been with him 30 years. Like, how many years has he done? Like 20. He's been about 24, 23, and he's coming home. But anyway,
About 20, 25, some shit.
he called me randomly, and I was like, look, I got Carl in the car. What's up? What up? John? Yeah, we rolling over here. We rolling.
To Santa Monica Boulevard.
Yeah, rolling. Yeah.
This call is from Federal Equipment.
What's up? Hey, yo, you got some pictures out there? Yeah, we take all that. He just got here. Look, he just got here. We're gonna take a lot of, we gonna be shooting movie and shit. How many niggas you know can talk to Lou Sims?
Not too many people.
How about this? Yeah, that's my homie. Lou Sims is really my man. So I want to cut to, and real quick, the lynch mob. What's the lynch mob? Who was the lynch mob? And I'm talking about the LA lynch mob, no disrespect, but I'm talking about the Harlem lynch mob from 142nd Street. What was the lynch mob?
The lynch mob was basically a block which it didn't just consist of 42nd, it consisted of a bunch of different people from like any borough, but once you come up under like so-called the umbrella of 42nd lynch mob, you was now lynch mob. It didn't matter where you was from or whatever. You just had to have a loyalty and respect for us. You became a part of a family that's gonna be there for you whenever you call on us. No questions asked.
So, we're going to talk about Cone. But I think when someone can say they've known me since they were 15, and since I was 15, they can tell you exactly how I was. So, let me set the stage. I'm from 1199, that's the east side. And it's kind of spoiled there, you know, it's kind of luxury. Duplexes, river views, you know, good living. But for some reason, I ended up on 142nd Street through a friend of mine in high school. I'm 15, pause. Now again, what did a 15-year-old Dame Dash look like to you? What you saw?
Yeah, he was
You
so
had
cute.
things that we didn't have.
Like what?
You're still cute. Like,
Expensive cars. The money.
Wait, hold on. 15, I had an expensive car?
Come on, chap, you know that.
I want them to know, because I brag, they don't believe me.
I'm
So-
pretty sure most of them do know this, but the people out there that's watching this might not know that.
So at 15, what kind of car I had? Pause. No disrespect.
Black Max, kitted out Max.
Kitted out Black Max?
Yeah.
You're not going to play music? I should have to sing that. I'm stunned. Go ahead, Joe. Stun on him. I've been stunning since I'm 15. Chill. Okay, so my first recollection of you, you always had distinctive glasses on, very calm guy, but you rode
Different ones on there.
yeah, but you rode bikes, motorcycles, right?
Yeah.
Dirt bikes.
Yeah.
So let's describe dirt bike life in your world at that point. What was dirt bike life like?
It was just an adrenaline rush.
But like literally, I would see police chase you on sidewalks.
Yeah. That was the rush. Like for us and where we grew up at, like dirt bikes represented something totally different than what it represents now. Right now, I love it. They doing way better things than what we ever did. But back then, it was a status like you couldn't just afford a dirt bike because you had to come straight out your pocket with like $1,200 just for that bike.
True. But what about like police chasing you on sidewalks every day, going 100 miles an hour down Lenox Avenue?
That was a part of the ride.
I used to see shit like y'all ride up, like the police would be chasing and they would ride up in the staircase of a building like that. Tell me about the most illest chase that you ever had with the police.
I had too many.
The illest one though, because it would be like some real ill. People understand the stuntman y'all used to do that. I used to see with my own eyes.
All of them be kind of ill once you start getting chased. Like as far as like going up,
Talk about jumping on the sidewalks and going into the.
I'm getting there.
Okay, my bad.
As far as like going upstairs, like you might go up 100 stairs and I mean just like straight up and
The
you know what
sirens
you're
would be
doing.
chasing y'all, and y'all would do cool fly laughing, and it would just be crazy. And it would be like the whole block would be like cheering.
Yeah, everybody be chill. Everybody love dirt bikes. Man. As far as I know,
You
if
being
you don't
humble.
love dirt bikes, then I don't love you.
All right, I want y'all to give me some stunt music for riding on sidewalks and not talking about. Let's go. Chill. Stop, bring back theme music. All right, how old are you around this time? Because, you know, this was some fun time. So, you know, we kicking in shit. And on our block, it was like, you know, if we had any issues or anybody had anything against the block, no questions asked, you know. We would run around. It was like, it was fighting. There was a lot of jumping and beating up and all that. And, you know, it came with it. But then things got critical. And and we're gonna go there. So when did you start hustling?
About 86.
And, you know, what were you selling? If you could talk about that.
I was selling crack, coke, weed.
So on our block, I want to put this in context. There was a lot of spots. Like, I remember this building there. I don't want to say whose it was. This building, Jamaicans there. Like, it was almost like every stoop was a store.
Yeah.
And people protected that stoop with everything, right?
Yeah.
So y'all were hustling.
We was doing some everything.
So you were like, you had a building to watch. Can you explain that?
Yeah. I had a building that I ran, in which, in this process, I had to do something that I don't really have regrets for doing because of the person. And what he did was came and robbed the spot 2 times.
Now, this guy was a big dude, Paul, like tall, bigger than
He
you.
was bigger than me. This, you gotta take into consideration that this was in '89. I had to look up to this dude. So if I gotta look up to you, a big dude. And after the second time, he got away with robbing the spots 2 times. On the third time, I was just like, this is where my first body was gonna come into play.
So you were mentally prepared to catch a body that night or the next time?
I was mentally prepared to do whatever I needed to do because I'm not with the bullying. If I see somebody that's trying to pull some bullying stuff, I mean, like, how much of that you gonna take?
So the third time, what happened?
Third time that bully lost his life. It's a shame to say it, but like I said, I have no remorse for a person like this. If I'm not committing anything towards you in a violent way or a disrespectful way, don't bring that my way.
So you were protecting yourself. He pushed your hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that got handled. Now, I don't want to have theme music for murder because I don't advocate it. And this is not to make people think, oh, this is fly, this is tough. This is just reality. And if anything, I want people to learn from it and understand that, you know, there's a game that people play that they sign on to and shit happens, bro. So I just want y'all to think for a second and marinate how real and authentic this is because most people don't have access to people that can speak to you this way so you can learn from it. Because he's here in one piece and I've only seen him do positive things since he's been home. So I want to play some music for that. Let's go. And I want y'all to jam out. So that was your first body.
Yeah.
When you go home that night, bro, what do you dream about?
I mean, anybody gonna go and
It's
think something.
unthinkable to 99% of the world.
Yeah, but anybody's gonna go home at night and think about like taking a life, regardless of the situation.
Were you scared?
No, absolutely not. I wasn't scared.
Not even
I
the
wasn't
police?
proud of doing it either, but it was just something I came to a point where I feel I had to do. Because I'm not gonna give you the opportunity to for anything to happen where I lose my life. Not saying I would never lose my life in dealing with the streets, period, but I'm not gonna let you just get the upper hand. I'm not so-called sleeping like that.
So now I want you to look at it from my perspective, right? Like this demeanor that you have is the same demeanor. You was always that smooth, calm, not aggressive, never pushing an issue. And all of a sudden I find out you caught a body. I'm like, calm?
Yeah, same thing I said.
That shit bugged me out. So how did people look at you on the block after that?
The same way you just said. Damn, Cole.
So you got away with it.
For a minute.
Well, I guess nobody saw it.
Nah, people seen it.
Nobody said nothing.
Yeah.
Block was tight like that. You know what? You went to jail for that. How did you get caught? I would rather, how did you get picked up?
Well, actually, I was already locked up in the state, and while I was locked up, the DA was building a case that was handed down to them from the feds, in which somebody in the feds was like trying to work off something so they get as less time as possible. Which flipped on them because they spend the rest of their life in prison in the feds right now.
So somebody basically told them.
Yeah.
Because of the bullshit they got and they brought you into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the one thing about when I say somebody told on me, I can't prove because I wasn't gonna be the one to go to trial and play with them people. Because number one, I didn't just have that one body, I had two bodies. I had two bodies in an attempt.
So let's talk about that body, because that one is kind of sensitive. Because when you do speak about that, I do feel that there's remorse for that situation. Can you explain that situation?
All right, the second body was a situation where it was me along with a few of my friends, which was they were going to purchase something. They was going to purchase an item. And like for the most part, I always kept a gun on me. So I didn't always keep a gun on me. After that first body, I started just keeping a gun on me because, like I said, wasn't nothing just gonna be popping off as easy as somebody would expect. I was a little dude, and anybody that came to me was bigger than me. So when we was in a building, we was in a building, and in this building, a friend of mine was going to purchase something from somebody that we didn't know. And I wasn't exactly paying attention to what was going on at the moment because in my mind, it's going to be an exchange and that's going to be it. But when I caught eye to what was going on, the guy that was actually selling something had my three friends. He was just handling them. You know what I'm saying?
So they were trying to rob the dude, but he was actually winning the fight against three people.
Yeah. The dude that was actually getting robbed was whipping their ass. And when I looked up and seen that, all I seen was a one-sided story. I didn't have the full knowledge of what was
You basically looked up and saw your friends losing a fight, and you did not know why.
Yeah, well, I seen my friends losing the fight. So when I seen that, I just told them to clear out. And once they heard
You
that,
said a very specific word. What was it?
I said, get from up under them.
Very calmly.
That's the same way I'm talking right now.
So they got from up under him? What'd they do?
They separated themselves from him because
So they knew what that meant? Very calmly, when they said get from up under him, they knew that meant get from up under him. Even with all that fighting, they just stopped everything?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, that comes with any group of people that grew up together. They know the language of when a person is speaking. You know what I'm saying? They know the meaning. They know everything behind that because they grew up together. So once I said get from up under him, they separated themselves from him, and I shot them.
So what about that bothers you? And how do you deal with that?
Well, being that I grew up, like back then, I just did something, and which I had no idea what I was doing. Like the situation, like them robbing him, I kind of feel bad for the man that in which life I took, because he really didn't deserve that. Like if a dude is fighting somebody, I feel like just fight. That's how I feel now. Back then, it just wasn't a thought. It was just a reaction. So, like, I feel bad about it because it was so the whole situation, the whole incident was so minute that everybody could just walk away from that situation. You know what I'm saying? And just because I feel a certain way about him, that don't mean I feel a certain way about anybody to have violence brought to them. Some people just deserve it. Some people gotta deal with that trial by error. This is just my thinking.
Well, there's levels to a game you're playing. You know, a friend of mine calls it level 7, where the reaction is just very extreme. You know, different levels. Somebody might smack a nigga, and somebody might take a life for the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the game you signed on to. You signed on to a very serious level of a game. So you didn't get picked up for that immediately either. And they were asking questions about you too.
Yeah, they was asking about it for a long time. Like this happened in '89. I didn't get arrested for these incidents until May 1st of '98. And the only reason why I know that exact date, once something happened to you like this, where your life is actually in jeopardy, you're gonna remember these days. I remember every date that dealt with this, my whole imprisonment.
So you get picked up, or you're already picked up, but you got all these charges on you, and you know there's someone that you were once close to is told on you about some shit that ain't got nothing to do with him. So what happens there? Lawyers, the whole nine. Where does your mind go right now?
My family. Like once anybody commit a crime towards the next person, you're not only affecting that person and their family, but you're also affecting your family, because you put them in a situation where they have to be by your side doing whatever, whether you lose your life or you have to go up north for a long time, whatever. You putting a strain on them, and that was my first thought as far as like my kids. Because once you get locked up, the next thing, especially for something like that, the next thing a person gonna think is, oh, this nigga, I wonder if this nigga gonna fold or what. But my whole thing is I'm never folding. Like I tell you this situation. I never tell people, like I've been shot on 2 different occasions.
You've been shot.
I was shot in my face and in my arm.
I forgot about that. That's crazy. So did they ask you to tell on people?
They asked me to tell on a lot of people. They throw names up, what they want them about. I don't know nothing. All I know is I need to talk to my lawyer. That's it. I don't got nothing to say.
Was telling or cooperating an option to you?
Never an option.
Why not?
Because there's consequences behind people that talk. And it's consequences I never have to worry about. Because I'm not talking, I don't know nothing.
Consequences like what?
Anything. Death to your people in your family. Anything. It could be to you. It could be anything. I'm just never gonna find out what it is, because I'm not thinking on that telling level. That's not me. I wasn't raised with that.
Neither was I. So you get picked up, and you were telling me some things about the lawyer offering, and what were your mind thinking at that point? And tell me about that lawyer, what he offered you, and the good deal, and all that you were talking about.
All right, my whole thing was this here. Once I got locked up, I was just looking for as least time as I could get, and tell it was never an option. So the first thing the lawyer came back to me talking about was the ADA offered a 15 to life, running consecutive with a 25 to life for the 2 bodies.
What does that mean?
That means I'm gonna do the 15, and then I'm gonna do 25 right after that 15, and then I gotta pray on getting
So it's like 40 right quick off top.
Absolutely.
How old are you?
I was 28 at the time.
So you coming out when you're like 69 or some dumb shit like that? If they even let you at parole?
That's if they gave me parole. Now I'm from New York State, so at that time we had this Governor Pataki in there, and he was really against that violent shit. So when you go to parole up on the Pataki, you was getting smacked. You wasn't coming home.
Right.
So until Cuomo came, like right now, I wasn't even supposed to be homeless. Pataki was still in there. I was supposed to still be in prison right now.
Right.
Being that Cuomo got in office, he changed a bunch of stuff, and it allowed me to have the opportunity to come home.
So what does that mean?
That mean I had the opportunity to see light again. I had the opportunity to come home.
But you did.
Absolutely, I did it.
So you took the time.
Yeah, you take that time. I'm not gonna play with them, and I know what I did. I'm not gonna try and fight something that I did. That's why I say, if you're not willing to accept the consequences behind your actions, don't get involved with it.
Now, I want my band, The Vibe, to get ready because what I'm about to say is impactful and it's 100% authentic. And only I can say this in my position. Yo, bro, you my brother. You my brother?
Absolutely.
How long we been brothers?
Since 86, 87.
Alright, so when I say this, I want y'all to really play this hard. My real brothers are real members of the lynch mob. And they did the time for it, and they're home. I need theme music for that. That's real.
That's my favorite.
So now we in LA. Palm trees and shit. How's life?
I love this life out here.
This is our life, bro. If I'm up, we up. If I'm up, we up.
I don't even want to go home.
Why would you?
I got to.
I think I need y'all here with me, bro.
Gotta leave.
Well, go home and settle your affairs. And let's work out. You know, you're an intelligent dude now. I think the good guys deserve to win. So I'm gonna do this theme music because the good guys are winning. All honorable guys win. Now you lames that have been f***ing with me need to really be concerned, not because of violence, just because of success. Because now we gonna kill them with money, success, and take care of our family. It's time for us to heal, bro. We did it, dog. You did it. Give me a hug, bro. We good.
When was it released? This year? This year was it released?
On the next episode of OG Stories, I got to kick it with my brother, OG Ryder. He went to jail for shooting at the mayor at the time, Cory Booker. He considers his life level 7. And we're going to get into that.
Stop. Can you stop it? Okay. Wow.
And 19 people.
Oh, wow, nice. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you. For everybody on.
It was so dope.
Thank you. So, you put me on soccer.
Y'all niggas is crazy. I want to make sure I don't
Is that real?
Yo, what up, dude?
That's the block?
Yeah, that's the niggas buzzing out.
What they?
Niggas said I want to make sure you continue to be black.
So, you know,
Yo,
I love the fact that I'm in the put it on mute. So I love the fact that I can actually have authentic content about my friends that I feel deserve to showcase what they learned. The fact that Carlton has full accountability every moment, and you know, he did the time, and he's come home, and you know, he really changed his life. Didn't lose who he was, but he has actually changed his life. So we have principals on here, we have congressmen on here, we have hip hop legends on here, we have, you know, supermodels on here. You have access to this man, and you can ask him some questions. I saw a feedback from Don Diva. I want to give Don Diva a big shout out because a lot of the pictures came from Don Diva.
yeah.
Feedback. And his father just came home, who was a member of the lynch mob, Farris. I want to give a shout out to Michelle, the Queen of Harlem. I challenged her to write a book, and she wrote it. And I got the first copy. And, you know, we have OG stories from her coming up. She autographed it. And we're being productive. We're taking our stories and we're monetizing them by having other people learn from it. And I just think that's a great thing when it's coming from real people. So I wanted Carlton, if he wants to say something, but anyone that wants to ask Carlton anything or even comment, the forum's yours. Again, we have a congressman on here. And, you know, a lot of what I like to address is prison reform, the experience, making things better, and us actually helping us and not being expectant of anyone else. And I love that Carlton's on the block, 142nd Street. I feel like I miss being there. I don't miss it and I do miss it. It's like,
Yo, dang.
Yo.
Pardon me for a second. I'm gonna show you my boy Junior Black kids.
Junior Black? That's Junior Black's kid?
Yeah, right here.
Black was the best was the best on a motorcycle in the whole Harlem. What's up, bro? Yo, you don't even understand the stories I can tell you of me and your father. That was my man. Me and your father used to race 100 miles. He used to just race. Your father's a legend, bro. I love you. I love you. That's crazy.
Hey, what's up, boy? What up, nigga? Chillin'? Good. Yo, no! Like a Spanish nigga.
So, again,
What up, man? Chillin'?
and anyone, Faithback, set the forum up. Start it up, Faith. Darn deep it.
Congratulations, man. Great project, man. It was definitely great. Yo, you know, Mr. Faye and all. Hey, what's the word, good fellow? Nori, my guy, was good, B.
I'm alright, man. That's my guy, man. I see my guy trying to go to town, man.
No doubt. Yo, congratulations on the project, man. Thanks, bro. That's a great look, man. You know who next.
Anyone have any questions? I'm sure someone has something.
Y'all can ask me. Yo.
Jocko got something. Jocko, what you think about it, Principal Jocko? Oh, we got therapists on the line. What you thought?
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to the brother while he was out here. This Tajay, I'm the therapist.
What's up?
Hip hop therapist out here. What's up, bro? I just want to congratulate you on on a good show, and I want to congratulate you on surviving. You know what I'm saying? And like Dame said, taking the full accountability. I think that's part of the reason why you're still here, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
Definitely.
yeah, congrats on that, man. I hope to see you again soon, bro. You know?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm definitely trying to come out. I told you, I love it out here.
Yeah, come out, man. You know, we always here, bro.
Yeah. Oh, y'all gotta excuse these shades. I had a little accident and messed up my eye, so I just gotta protect it right now.
On a motorcycle. Jocko, Principal Jocko. You there, Jocko?
Oh, she's on mute.
You on mute. Oh, take everybody off. You can take off mute.
Yeah.
Nicolette. Jocko, you on mute. She's left me.
You probably don't know how to find a button like me.
I know. Nicolette! Oh, you're getting a drink. Oh, who's that? That's Danny Sue?
What up, Dan?
Sue, what's good? What you think? What you think about it?
I mean, it's street stories, man. You know, that's a situation that was crazy, but you learn from it. You know, it's the same as most of the street stories that we've been through. You know, I can't say for anybody else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Where
I
Daniel
can only
at?
speak on my situation, which a lot of other brothers relate to as well, you know. So if I can speak, they relate to it. We just try to, like, my main thing is trying to protect the youth. You know, like, I came home and I like noticed like a change in the generation. You know, the generation gap. I just noticed a change where from where the fathers was missing, the children, or the daughters or whatever, they they had to learn on their own. So they took it kind of hard. They had a rough path, and we wasn't here to be like, this is what you should be working on. This is what need to be done. This is who you trust. This is who you turn away from, or you know what I'm saying? Just give them that guidance. A guidance is something like a being a coach. Like my son said this to me the other day. Like, how many guys look at their fathers as coaches? Mm-hmm. And I just heard that, and it sparked on me. Like, it kind of hurt me because I wasn't there, but I understood what he was saying and what he was getting at with his homeboy. Like, they actually look up to us for guidance. We got to guide them in the right path in order for them to avoid going through the situation like me and other brothers went through, other brothers and sisters. I ain't gonna leave them out, you know. But the youth will spark your mind, you know what I'm saying? They'll throw something at you, and you thinking, and then you have to come back and just, you got to be that coach. That's all that's what I learned from my son. And if my son doesn't teach me, I'm gonna learn, and I'm gonna give it right back to him. So, as well as I'm gonna do any other youth out here that I know of, or I don't even have to know you. If I see something wrong, and I see like you might need help or guidance or something, I'm gonna step up. If I see it, I'm gonna step up to it, because this is like another situation of how people is going through different situations where the youth is actually taking their life because they don't have, or they feel like nobody is there listening to them. So my thing is, I'm here to listen. I'm gonna help as much as I could, and if what I tell you help you in any way, yeah, it's basically guiding you. So if what I tell you or what I speak to you, you learn from it, then you basically don't have to go through that trial and error like I did, like a lot of other brothers went through. That trial and error, you really had to put it. Like when my people told me about trial and error back in the day, I didn't know what they was talking about.
Yeah, you ain't understanding.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they told me that I didn't understand. But you know, as I did that bid and grew up inside prison, and you know what I'm saying, I never lost track with what was going out on the streets. And then just so happened when I come back out to the streets, the same thing is going on. So I actually do, because I know to stay away from it and where it's gonna lead to. If you're not conscious of what's going on around you, as far as like the politics and everything, they actually trying to. We're their paycheck, you know. We're somebody's paycheck. I ain't here to be pointing fingers or none of that, but we gotta learn from each other's mistakes in order for us to get ahead.
Hey, Congressman Carson. Congressman, you there? Congressman, you there? I think everybody's on mute.
Yes, sir.
So you're a congressman and you're in a position to, you know, actually fix certain things. How do we stop this cycle? What laws could be passed? How do we make sure in prison people get rehabilitated? What can we do to stop the cycle, Congressman?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Dane, for doing this, and it was good to hear Brother Carlton's story. There are several bills up that deal with prison reform, and a lot of that has to do with how prosecutors work with law enforcement. So oftentimes in some of these conviction cases, there's been a solid argument about not having prosecutors so closely tied to it, because prosecutors oftentimes are very ambitious and they try to seek higher office, be it mayor, be it Congress, be it senator. So the convictions are oftentimes racially motivated and in favor of law enforcement. And I have a bill up that's called the Recidivism Reduction Act. So a lot of times when you have brothers and sisters, particularly brothers who are sentenced and they receive benefits, say they're diabetic or they receive benefits, and oftentimes when they're released, it takes their benefits 3, 6 months, or maybe a year to kick back in. So if they can't get employed because they have this felony on their record, oftentimes they recidivate back into the streets. So what this bill attempts to do is have their benefits kick in immediately as they transition back into life. And, you know, I didn't, Brother Carlton made a good point about fathers need to be coaches. I didn't grow up with my father. I didn't get to know my father until, you know, not too long ago. And he was a street guy. And what concerns me is that we don't have enough mentors, especially brothers like Carlton, brothers like Dame, and other people who come from the street life, who are directing some of these young guys who only look at rappers, and 99% of those guys are either mama's boys or they're good performers. But to have some guys who are official, who can really speak to these issues, who can help shape policy at the federal level, especially as you look at states who are being marijuana. So a lot of states are looking at their incarcerated roles and looking at people who were incarcerated because of marijuana offenses, and they're releasing them because, one, it's a burden on taxpayers, and secondly, these are nonviolent offenses.
Now, Congressman, while I got you on the line, and I have some principals on the line,
No doubt.
there's a big issue with sending, like for me, you know, the OSG network, I get to talk to, you know, 60, 70 principals, 90 through the whole country. And the whole problem is they're sending them back to school, and we all know it's not going to work, but they're actually risking their lives to educate. And a lot of them are like, you know, they're like, yo, if we don't go back, then they're going to cut funding. It's been the same through every state. How do we protect our educators and our principals to bring awareness? We already know no one can go back to school, to me. What do we do to help that? And then how do we leverage our experiences with like someone like Carlton to help and, you know, use his authentic experience to learn from it? But I wanted to talk about the principals first, and then I'd like a principal to weigh in on that, and then talk about how we could use Carlton to help. But Congressman, what do we do about this education right now? And also, homeschooling is not working so well. You know, people being home and doing it, that, you know, they're not engaging, and I'm really concerned about the future. But first and foremost, I'm concerned about the safety of the principals and the kids.
I know Brother Dennis can speak to this because he's on the ground every day. You know, when I was in high school, there were cats my age, and you know, Dame, I was joking with somebody the other day. It seemed like our era, when we grew up, we looked grown and were doing grown shit at 16 and 17. These kids now look like kids. We were like grown people. We were big cats.
Yeah.
And I grew up in an environment where kids were actually fighting teachers. And there are kids that are dealing with so many issues at home that teachers are ill-equipped to get the support that they need from parents, because oftentimes you have parents who had negative experiences in school themselves, so it's hard for them to be an important support system when they didn't get the support that they needed. But I think in terms of security, you do have a law enforcement present in a lot of schools, and some of these law enforcement or security.
I'm talking about not sending the principals to school knowing that they have the ability to get sick. It's COVID.
COVID's always an issue. You know, homeschooling is not working for different reasons. One, parents aren't equipped to teach to the material that's being taught. There are too many kids coming home with material that's based to standardized testing. And lastly, I think that there's something to be said about social interaction. I spent so much time in detention, Dame, I'm sure as you did, because I was a different kind of learner. I couldn't just sit there and watch. I needed a visual display. And, you know, when I went to school, you know, it was an escape for me. And plus, like you, Dame, when I came to school, it's showtime. So it was hard for me to focus in a different way, but it took certain cats that could reach me. And particularly, it was cats who were affiliated with hip hop. So I think if you have the Dames and you have the Brother Carltons coming to school and speaking to these kids who they idolize, I think it reaches them in a different way.
But Congressman, Congressman,
concentrate, you were making more money than your teacher.
Absolutely. But Congressman, my issue in this very moment, the most urgent issue is sending principals to school that could get sick, and also sending the kids to school every time they've opened up a school, it's turned out bad. I'm afraid that some of these principals are going to die. That's my conversation with the principals is like, they're putting on helmets and they're like, yo, I got my husband or my wife has an underlying issue. I have an underlying issue, but I got to go back because they're going to cut the funding. What are we going to do?
So, Brother McKesey can speak to this better than me, but a lot of schools are slowly reopening because there's pressure on governors and mayors in certain charter schools to reopen schools. One, because parents are more concerned, those who want their kids to go back to school. And secondly, that there's a bottom line issue. And we also have to remember that school for a lot of kids is the only time that they can get at least 2 meals, sometimes maybe even 3 meals.
But it's not going to be worth a kid dying for that though. Like right now, for the next couple of months, sending a kid to school or principals to school is really like, yo, I could get killed right now, or at least.
You're already
but that, you know, let me just jump in here and say, you know, that it's definitely something. It's a two-edged sword when it comes to this, because obviously, you know how I feel, and I think I definitely know how you feel about sending the principals back and teachers back and kids back into the building. But we also got to remember that school is somehow a safe haven for some of our children who really don't have anything to eat. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that, especially in a big city like New York, there's always that concern that...
Dennis, it's a guarantee that somebody's going to catch it if there's 100 people in the room.
But you got to remember that kids are going to start too. And part of the reason why it took so long for New York to shut down their schools was for that reason, is because we're talking about homelessness for the kids are a major concern. So shutting down the school solves one problem, which is, okay, we're keeping everybody safe, but then the other part is, you know, and again, I'm speaking on behalf of, you know, people who understand that kids do come to school for refuge, they come to school.
So Dennis, I understand that, but how do we create a safe refuge where no one has to be worried about dying at least till November?
Well, the only way you can do that is what they did before, which is remote learning, and then offer, you know, similar things to what Akbar does. It's like in most schools in New York City was doing is the grab and go. You know, have food available for the kids and for the families. As I said, you know, it's a little bit more complex of a situation in a big city like New York, when you're talking about over 1 million students and families who, you know, are in a situation now where they're forced to think about childcare because they got to go back to work. There's a lot of moving parts to it, and I don't think that there's an easy answer to it. I think everybody has a choice. You know, if you're a parent, you have a choice not to send your child back to school. If you're a principal, you have a choice not to go back to work. If you're a teacher, you have a choice not to go back to work.
I respect that.
People got to utilize their rights to decide what's best for them and their family. And, you know, it's never a one size fit all when you have that many kids and that many families that are impacted by this. And like, you know, you and Whip and, you know, the rest of the crew, I mean, y'all kind of know what it's like in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? You know, or what it looks like in Newark or in the South Bronx or in parts of Jamaica, Queens, where kids really don't have it. And, you know, it's always that fight between, and again, I don't get into the politics aspect of it, but that's always the fight of how do we make everybody happy? And I think it's very, very difficult. And I think that's when we have to exercise our own right to make the decision that we feel is best and what's right for my kids. You know what I'm saying? My daughter's 7.5, like, she ain't going back to school, period. Like, but then today she said to me, Daddy, I want to go back to school to see my friends, right? So you kind of stuck between the rock and the hard place because I know what school meant to her. But I always was like, nah, but honey, you can't, right now you just can't go. And that's the struggle that I think many families are faced with. That's a little bit more complex than us just saying you'll shut down the school. You shut down a school, you can almost shut down an entire city like New York. And so that's where those biggest struggles come in. But I commend those people, like the Akbars and the Simone Nicholases and the,
Dr. Smalls and other people who are exercising their right, to not return back to the building because it's not safe. And we just hope that everybody else makes similar decisions. But like I told you before, Dave, I was a principal for 10 years, man. It would be hard to keep me away from the school. That's how much I love my kids in Harlem. It's just you couldn't just.
Yeah, but if you think it's gonna kill one of the kids or kill yourself, you say right now I ain't going. You don't want to go to a funeral, not one.
No, I understand. But you and I both know that kids in Harlem they're gonna be outside anyway.
True.
They're gonna be. It's not like they're gonna be stuck in the house.
But I ain't gonna be a part of helping it. Let me ask Principal Akbar something. Hearing Carlton's story, and you have your tradition and your method is love. How would you utilize someone like Carlton to teach your kids, Principal Akbar?
So thanks, Dane, for this platform, Carlton. Your story was amazing. I juggle most of the time with the kids love the lifestyle. Like my kids want the bag, they love the lifestyle. So I have to always try to find a way, and I call it intentional stunting. Like I gotta show them there's another way. Like I'm fly, like I still got money. I did it the right way out. I don't do the drugs, but it's still hard. Like all of that, I'm still like a nerd to some of them. So when you have a Carlton that went through all this, and just hearing the story of how he had to, to struggle with, like, yo, I can't take this L. Like I gotta do what I gotta do. Like that resonates with them. So I would literally play the OG stories and then let them digest it. We'll have a conversation back and forth, and then bam, the next week, Carlton show up. And it's like, oh, that was, what I mean? So that's how I would do it at Westside, because I juggle with that every day, trying to show them there's a better way, but they still love the life. You went to school, you a lame ass nigga, you know what I mean? Like one of those, but so I'm always gonna need that balance. Like I can get to that one that's close to the edge, but I'm still gonna need that baby that's on the other side. Like Cook, man, like, I love you though, but you ain't about this life, bro. Like I'm really out here getting it. That's what I'm gonna need Carlton or any other people, you know what I'm saying, that you had on, Calvin Klein, anybody else, the Queen of Harlem. I'm gonna need them because I'm not gonna reach all of them, and I know it. I'd be a fool to think I'm gonna reach everybody. Because some of them, I say too far gone, they too close to that side to want to hear what Cook talking about. So I'm gonna need the OG stories to kind of bridge that gap for me. So I appreciate this thing.
No doubt. And Carlton is always there if you want him. If you show it the same way we're doing the Q&A right now, they have direct access to him, and he's always down for that. I see my brother Lucien from Chicago. I just shot a movie with him.
Yo, Dane.
Yo.
Let me butt in right quick.
Go ahead.
Because what the brother was talking about, that's definitely what I'm with. That's that coming to the school, you know what I'm saying? Because he's in the streets basically, and he's coming there doing his job, and the youth are looking at him like the nerd, the square, whatever. So he can talk that, and then I'm definitely willing to pop up for that right there, and speak my little piece. They could show like he said, show the documentary or whatever, and then have me show up. I think that's a good move right there. Like that's what most people like with conscious minds in prison mind state is. You know what I'm saying? That's the main focus. We don't want our children. This is how we look at everybody that's out here. We don't want our children going through what we went through. All right, so it's not fun. It's not a game. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta adapt, and that's like it's not normal. Prison is not normal. That take you back to something like ain't nothing cool about that. All that remind me of like people with authority. You know, some people with that power, but they abuse that. They abuse it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll be in a facility and you have a CO. You from the fire Brooklyn and you disrespecting me. You don't even know who I am. My day will come. Now I could take it upon myself to come out there and do you damage, or I could grow and just be like, he don't have no life. You know what I'm saying? And just go about my business. And then I could pop him in his face and just smile at him and keep on going. But this is how I take it for people with power.
Okay.
You can't. Some of them abuse it. Some of them use it the way they should. But my thing is, if you got a principal or teacher or somebody that's in a position of teaching them students, and you could show them this documentary, not just mine, anybody's, and then you could call that person in, you know what I'm saying? Because they'll be done seeing on the screen, they'll be shocked, and let me or the next person give our spill on the situation. Like, we really have to grow from being out here before you did the time, running the streets or whatever, and then you go through that time. You got to go through the situation of dealing with getting that time, and all this is stressful, not just for yourself, but like I say, everybody that deals with you, everybody surrounded around you. This is a stressful situation.
Hey, Carl, let me ask you.
Yo.
Dang, man. Let me say something.
Go ahead. Principal Malik.
Carlton, thank you. And I'm giving Carlton an open invitation to come to my school once COVID is over. This is very close to my heart because I'm from Harlem, too. I grew up 5 blocks from there. I know 1.2 intimately. Right. I guarantee you we know the same people, right?
Definitely.
You know, I ran the street at the same time. I hung up right up on 144th in Hamilton.
Wow.
Right? All right. But I also went to school at the same time. Right? I did both. And I always tell people I'm in a position I'm in not because because God thought it was a good idea. Because I could have been in Carlton's position. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's very close to my heart because when it became on the screen, I knew exactly who was that. You know what I'm saying? And you said one thing that I think definitely we got to lift and talk more about. And we got to look at it through the context of systemic racism. Every brother in Carlton's position is feeding somebody else's family and somebody else's community. Because at the end of the day, particularly in New York, everyone that get locked up come from about 7 different communities. Harlem, Bed-Stuy, East New York, Flatbush, Brownsville.
Same thing.
Right? And again, I'm only here because God thought I need to be here to work with the children. So I'm giving you an open invitation because I got kids that need to talk to you, but they need to understand that there's even more to your story. Because again, you got locked up not because of you were in a situation that a lot of brothers are put in because of systemic racism. This ain't all by accident. We're feeding other people's community. Every time one of us get locked up, it's some white boy upstate or someone upstate, a social worker got a job, a CEO got a job, a PO got a job. Other people will have jobs because they eating on our misfortune. And people got to understand that. And so in the same way that we look at young brothers and we like, oh, they preying on a community. Well, it's another community preying on our community, making sure that we feeding the system, making sure that there's jobs for people working. Prisons feed whole entire towns.
Oh, definitely.
If you ain't never been upstate to visit a prison to understand what that is, you feeding whole entire towns.
Definitely.
The streets that get pennies on $1 for creating things in prison, whether it's Victoria's Secrets, where you got brothers in prison creating those products, or furniture companies who say, listen, instead of giving a brother a job out here to create this furniture, we're going to get it on pennies on $1 from the brothers locked up. People got to understand the big picture. Right. Yeah, so again, we got to tell these stories, but we also got to give the stories context and understand in the same way that we were involved in things. And I say we because I did all of the same things. I don't talk about it, and because I did the same thing, right? But you got to understand, we're all part of this system. It's a racist system that doesn't provide us with the opportunities we need to feed our family, and so we got to take advantage of street entrepreneurial to feed our families, and then we get caught up. but it's at the benefit of other people's community and feeding other people's community. So again, you got an open invitation to come talk to some of my young fellas anytime you want, once this COVID is over.
Oh, definitely, anytime.
And thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah. So let me elaborate on what you just said, just to verify. When we're shipped to, or when we're sent to other prisons in like we go upstate or whatever, we go to different prisons, we're feeding and we're the economy in that area, wherever we at, like I was in Sing Sing, I was in Fishkill, Coxsackie, Mount McGregor, whatever. Every time we populate that town, we're taking care of that town, and I best believe, like I don't give a fuck who watching. Excuse me, we're feeding them white people. There's no black folks in them towns upstate that's benefiting off of us being in prison. No, we're the minority in there. We're the minority out here. We're the majority inside prison, and we're the ones supporting their lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Us down here in the boroughs, we not benefiting off of that unless you're a CO or some type of civilian worker in them prisons. You know what I'm saying? And the only benefit you getting is your job. You know what I'm saying? Them towns are being taken care of. When we go to commissary, the commissary is coming from their town. You know what I'm saying? When you got a group of people going out on work detail or whatever out on the streets, we cleaning their town. We're not cleaning our own town up. You know, where we're from, we're not doing that. But I just want to elaborate on that a little bit. Thank you.
Hey, Congressman Carson, you still there? Congressman? You broke out on me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, if let's say we wanted to make our own facility, would we be allowed to do that if, like, let's say we wanted to pay for our own prison facility, but we want to more rehabilitate and do it in a way that, like, can I invest in a facility? Could we do that on our own?
That's a whole different game. I think that's kind of an inside game where you have these privatized prisons who have these exclusive contracts with food vendors. They have these exclusive contracts with people who make prison uniforms, and that's a whole different game. And so, you know, for anybody who says that they don't care for politics, I get it. It's hypocritical because politics is in everything. As you know, politics is in the music industry, it's in education, it's in the dope game. Politics is everywhere, it just has a different face. And so when you talk about getting into that kind of game, you're dealing with a different kind of ecosystem and a different culture, and it's a hookup culture. I think our probably greater investment at this point, because privatized prisons are being criticized because of the lack of oversight and the lack of accountability. And so when you have a privatized prison, the rules are different. Just like with charter schools, you have a lot more freedom to be creative, but sometimes there are deficiencies because the oversight is reduced. I think the greater play, Dane, is to get those brilliant street entrepreneurs and flip that ingenuity and genius into thoughtful ideas when they come out, and to create our own trade schools. I've been hard on organized labor about not recruiting enough of us when it comes to building trades. We need to develop our own trade schools so when cats come out of prison, they can be trained on how to be an electrician. They can take that same ingenuity of being a street pharmaceutical sales rep and put that into starting their own plumbing service, their own electrical service, or their own business. Why not own a series of vending machines? Why not flip that money and own a series of automated car washes? Why not flip that money and do something else? It doesn't always have to be the music game. It could be something else. So I think that's the better play, because when you get into those prison contracts, it becomes too controversial and it opens the door. Right now, prisons are, one thing you haven't heard, Dane, has been the reports about jails and prisons and the number of inmates who are COVID infected. You're hearing some stuff, but it's been so hush-hush,
Right.
It's purely political. And if we start owning prisons, you best be damn well, it's going to be COVID report, there's going to be automatic raids and investigations because there's this narrative out there that black folks are naturally corrupt.
But I could do one though, right?
It'd be dope, but
I could though.
I think the yield would be greater on other things, quite frankly, because you're still relying on government contracts. And a lot of generational wealth from companies is created by government contracts. So I think there are a lot of things that we could do besides creating our own prisons.
No, we're gonna do all that. I want to do everything. You know me, I like to do everything.
I ain't mad at that. I love you for that. You
I
inspire me,
appreciate
man.
you.
I love you for it.
I appreciate you. And you fight for it.
Inspire me too. Because again, if the prison system is the new slavery, do you want to be a partner in the new slave system?
If I could be a part of changing it, yeah.
Right. So we got
Like I would have to be disruptive. I wouldn't come in. If any,
when our brothers come out to make sure that they can be gainfully reintegrated into society. But
well, I think we could do both.
In slavery.
I think we could do both. Let me just say this. The reason why I say that is because when my memory and recollection of school and the short time I ever went to jail, it was a similar environment. And I believe that the jail system right now is not built to rehabilitate. Carlton, and the reason why I respect him so much is because I have other friends that come out and they're worse than they were before they got in, after they do their time. And you know, on a therapeutic level, I want to ask Taj this question. Because the decisions that Carlton made were purely because the elk and the cloth he was cut from, and that most aren't. Our block is different. People usually have to deal with a lot of these things with no help, no therapy, mind games are played on people. How does the system as it exists on a therapeutic level affect someone that's going through, because they're traumatized in survival mode, ending up in this pattern, in this system, therapeutically, and how do we change it?
Well, I have some experience with being locked up, and my experience was that basically there's a word called institutionalized, right? It's systemic, just like it is in the public. You know what I'm saying? That we live in the communities. It's the same thing with the prison system. You know, it almost teaches you to be reliant on that system, your program, your everyday. You get what I'm saying? And you know, it's like coming home from a war. You get these people that are released, especially people that have done extensive amounts of time. You know, they've been programmed to rely on that system, which is also built to destroy. It's not built to rehabilitate. You know what I'm saying? So they come out with that same systemic trauma on top of the trauma that they went in with already. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it just stacks trauma on top of trauma, basically. You know, and it's hard for some people to break out of that, especially if they don't have support systems and things like that. You know, I think one of the most impressive things that I've seen with like Whip was, again, his accountability. You know what I'm saying? To be able to come to terms with the fact that, you know, I did this, you know, and, you know, these are the consequences, you know. But therapeutically, I think the best thing about his example is that it gives people that are coming out of that life or that are deciding to change their life a purpose. I know one of the things I struggled with when I left the streets alone, you know, was, okay, well, what's my purpose? You know, I feel like programs like this, hearing y'all talk about bringing these people to schools, talking to these kids, you know, not only are they helping to heal and save these kids, but they also healing and saving themselves. You know what I'm saying? By giving themselves purpose for everything that they went through. A lot of people don't have that, you know, that moment of clarity that Whip is talking about. You get what I'm saying? So they come out of the system with no purpose, no nothing, and they're addicted to something that now they've become reliant on, which is detrimental to them and the people around them.
Gangster. I'd like to get a female's perspective. Principal Jocko, I have to hear your take on this.
Now, it's interesting because going back to your original statement, you know, I grew up in Queens, and so I pride myself in being able to move in and out of all different kinds of situations and crowds, right? And so one of the things when I became an assistant principal in Harlem, I had most of, you know, I always had the same crew of 3rd, 4th graders in my class, in my office. And so, but what I noticed was that the teachers did not know how to interact with my boys, right? So I always had the same 8 boys in my office every Monday after lunch. And so I flipped it on those teachers and I started my own crew. So I would pick them up on purpose on Mondays and I would do some science with them because that's my favorite subject. And then I would take them and do some basketball in the gym, and we would put on the hot music at that time, and we would write some rhymes. And so what happened, I changed the narrative of you sending the kids to my office, right? Because at the end of the day, they wanted to come to me because I had a relationship, right? And so one of those things, you know, what ended up happening, they did very well on their state test for science. And that year we had 100% 3s and 4s in New York State tests in Harlem. So I know it can be done without boys of color. And all it took was relationships, right? So those teachers stopped sending me the kids that giving them problems because they were looking forward to going someplace. And so when I think of your story of, like, you know, wanting to, you know, you like those certain cars, like I think my dream car is the SC400. I still want that Lexus coupe. That is the best looking 94 coupe, right? But what I'm saying is, it's like if we took kids to, you know, thinking about like what it takes to build a car and going to the car shows and different things like this and making things accessible, having the studios in our schools, like having all these things, like what you were talking about, the communities of the system of oppression. You know, as principals, we already put ourselves on the line. Like, I've seen people get shot in front of a school. I've seen, you know, I put myself at risk when kids are fighting. You know, depending on, I've worked in Red Hook, I've worked in Redfern, in Rockaway. Like, I've been in every situation, Reverend Polite in the Bronx. So I pride myself as a school leader who can interact in all types of situations. But I think what stands out to something, I was about to say Dr. Akbar. When he talks about love, it's about those relationships. And I highlight, I wonder, you know, to the gentleman who was, you know, was talking to you, like I pride myself in the book that I'm writing is about what did the talk sound like? Because in order to move in and out of your circles, you have to be able to engage and have a conversation. And I think what Andre was talking about was one thing the Fortune Society does really well is the coming back when you come home. They align you with your GED, they give you a program, and you're able to come back into the community and be a productive society member. You know, you get to contribute. So I think one of the things I'm thinking about is how can we forge these relationships so we can tap into those areas that students are thriving at, because I think they do come to school because they're seen and heard. And sometimes when they're at home, that's not the case. It's not a situation where it's safe. So I think if I bring it all together and just looking at the story, one, I always say I love the highlight of the music and having the crescendo of what's happening with the plot connected to the screen. But I think it's how are we making and building, forging relationships with our children. And I've done it with boys. For some reason, I always had the same boys. But then when I saw their parents, they would see me like, oh, if I had a principal look like you, I would have stayed in school. Right? And so when you hear that, it's just, okay, so how do we get more people who look like me and look like them in schools where you can see, like, this is a place where you can be loved. Someone's going to talk to you nice, talk to you like right, make you feel like you can do anything, you can dream. Because I think the story that I'm hearing from this, you know, from this story today is just having the engagement, having the loyalty, and what it takes to be able to come home now on the same block and still be good, right? Because the thing is, like, you can be a corny principal, you can be a like you don't engage with your community, like they're not feeling you, right? So what are the ways that we're able to be like those chameleons, to move in and out? I can listen to this music, I can be here, I can dress like this, but at the same time, I can tell you what the halogens look like in chemistry. I can tell you how to address like a calculus derivative and what that kind of looks like, and how do we use the context of what we're doing then to write the papers, then to write the articles, and then change and shift the context of what we're doing, and attaching that to the financial means. And so I think that's just the long short of what I got from the conversation.
Can Carlton come and talk to your kids?
I mean, I think we can definitely talk to kids, but I think there's so many different other layers that you can even go to. Like, there's so many community service organizations like sororities and fraternities. I'm just tired of, you know.
Can you put that together? Because no one knows how. What you were just saying, the fraternities, the sororities. I wanted to make the best use of Carlton's experience, and because he's so open and logical about it and real, I really want to make sure that people learn from his experience.
Yeah, that's a win.
So let's talk about that. Now, Jordan, from politicking, you know, what's happening? Now
What's happening, brother?
You're one that reports a lot on what's going on politically and things that are affecting the street. You're from a generation that's about 10 or 20 years younger than mine. What do you learn from Carlton's story, and how do we make sure others learn from it and utilize him as well?
Yeah, well, not only being someone who reports on politics and who's deeply ingrained in politics, I'm also someone from a high poverty neighborhood. Congressman Carson is a fellow Hoosier, and he knows that Gary, Indiana, which is my hometown, has thousands of Carltons as we speak. In jail, they're also formerly incarcerated. They really represent all facets of his life. And so what his story tells me that our work is far from finished. That's not just a talking point, really, it's true. I mean, there's really not even a healthy economy in my city for folks like Carlton to integrate themselves back into. There's no opportunity for them to get educated. There's really no opportunity for them to move beyond sentencing. I think that something that it also tells me is that, and I mentioned this, there are thousands of Carltons, but we'll never hear about them. We'll never learn about what led them down that path. We'll never see them sort of move past their time or the time that they've served. And so I think it's really time for people like Congressman Carson to step up. I mean, our government really has to do better. They're not doing anything for formerly incarcerated people. I mean, nothing. And they're not doing anything to lessen the pipeline to incarceration. When we were out there with Shu, we talked about the fact that Shu saw a path from elementary school, literally, to jail. And that's still the case. I mean, our school systems are still set up that way. And so it really just tells me that creating that school to prison pipeline, or really fixing it, has to be something that elected officials take seriously. They have to make it a priority the same way that they make other economic issues their top priority. That needs to be a part of major platforms.
Thank you. And I look forward to seeing you.
I can say something about that too, though.
Go ahead, Sue.
I think it starts with salute to you, Dane, for even having this platform and the principles and everybody else on here, even with Carlton. You know what I mean? But that coach, being a coach to your kids, that's real deep. I felt that. But on a bigger note, I think the best part of this too that I see right now is that we all respecting each other. Like, everybody respecting each other. Like, the principals, they had degrees. Carlton and some of the other people, like myself, went to prison before. You know what I mean? That's not a degree, but that's a degree in life. But once we come home and we start dealing with life on life terms and having each and every human being on our side of the things, in our culture, just start respecting each other more. That way, I think we'll be able to understand each other more, and we'll be able to gel together and make a bigger change. You know what I mean? Like, a principal talking to somebody that went to prison, other than on his spare time is real big right now. You know what I mean? Just getting people together like this is real big. This is change right now. I remember before some principals looked down on people that went to prison. They don't understand, but we do understand the youth that's in the streets, and the principals understand the youth that's going to college, so to say. Not to put it that stereotype, but I'm just giving people a vision on what I'm looking at and what I'm seeing right here. And on this platform right here, it make everybody have a voice in a good way to where that we can come together for change. That way you have the rough side and the soft side or the good side, and you come together, you have a complete system right there. Like you could see, like Carlton could see things that some of the principals can't see. And the principals and Damon could show other people like us that can't see that, to show us things that we need to see. So together, that right there will make a hell of a change in our community, And that's just all off of respecting every man for a man and every woman for a woman in our culture first. So we have to respect what we got ourselves first before we can move on into any other culture and make a change for our culture. It's like fighting together. If we fight together, it's a better fight. We likely to win that rather than fighting against each other. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I just want to say I agree 100% with what the brother just said. We have to be our brother's keeper, and we have to let history be our teacher, and we can no longer let people divide and conquer. They can't take 3/4 of our fathers and our sons and brothers and separate them and put them away in prison, and then take the ones who quote unquote made it because we were able to make it despite. Like, we didn't make it because we were better. We made it despite. And so, moving forward, we can't ever let people continue to divide and conquer. We must always be our brother's keeper. So I agree 100% with what the brother just said.
Absolutely. Anna K, you there? Anna K, you there?
I am.
Can we see you? Hey.
I'm here.
So, I'm sure your lifestyle and your condition and your patterns are a lot different. What did you take from this?
Actually, it's not too far off. My husband spent 3 years in jail. And I will say my take is I do see a huge flaw in the prison system. I do think it's very important. I always think change starts with kids, and how what they adopt early on, sticks with them, and the values and the choices they make. And I think that there's systemic problems left and right that, thankfully, at least now, we're hopefully more aware of and working towards. And just on that last comment of being your brother's keeper, like, in truth, I grew up in Santa Cruz, which is a very hippie town. Like, it's my hope and my goal. I always hold it close to me that it's my job to be my brother's keeper no matter what. It's like how we look out for each other will play out in the long run through generations, through various ecosystem and society system. And, not to be cliche, but does changes start on an individual level, and it's amazing to see. I didn't realize who all was going to be on this call. It's amazing to see all these principles and to hear everyone's take and their approach and implementation to really reach out to, and I think make relationships with the kids, and foster the idea that, like, you can be whatever you want to be, and not just smack that down or it's been an amazing call, and it was amazing story, and it was really interesting to see, a bit of your life as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm new working with you.
Absolutely. All right.
I have something to add to something that Anna and Dr. Malik had said, and it really is to sort of being our brother's keeper. And this is no disrespect to anybody, but a lot of mainstream white electeds say that we're fighting a class war. We are, but for Black people, I think that means something a little bit different. For them, I think, or for mainstream America, I think it means embracing other ways of economic advantage. But for us, I think it means recognizing that those of us who have money are not that far from those of us who aren't, you know, proximity wise, and just kind of being on the same playing field. We're all Black. I really don't get why some of us are so thirsty to be a part of like that wealthy mainstream class when, you know, we could just do so much more together than we could trying to fit into the upper echelons of the world, which is cool too, I guess. And so that's something that I take from his story too. You know, I think so many brothers like him are left back or just kind of left down because we don't recognize a lot of us are closer together and could really benefit more from creating community than I guess trying to just kind of leave the others behind.
You know what, Jordan, I want to build on what you said, because when I graduated Hampton, one of my classmates, I went to Fort Dix to visit, and it's like a piece of dignity that they try to take from our men of color. And I think if we can instill that young, that you are a king, that you are that. And I think, honestly, it wasn't until my husband was pulled over in Florida in Kennedy Space Museum 2 years ago with my own 2 boys in the car. I just turned 40. I never knew what it was like to be a Black male, and I had no conscious idea. But until I'm in a car with my husband and watch him and see how they try to degrade him, put guns to our car, and I'm like, really? Like, this is what's happening in Florida? Like, this is what we're doing at Kennedy Space Museum? Like, honestly, like, I never knew what it was like until that happened. I'm traumatized. And so now he has to go with his wife places and not know how he's going to be treated. To watch this man walk around his car with 3 kids in his car, and that's what's happening? Like, the trauma that has been happening. I think, so to your point, Jordan, I think it's not so much of that access. It's just about, like, I see Carlton as my brother. He's my cousin, right? And I don't have a problem going to see him, putting money in his commissary, right? Like, I can do that. So now, when I'm a principal and I have parents that I know might be locked up, when it comes time for some type of money, I'm going to connect with Akbar and see what I can raise from my school and see what Dr. Small is doing, because I know there's some parents that might not be able to do that right now, right? So I have a different empathy. And I think what we need to see from each other is we're all connected. We're all trying to win. But that's why I said those relationships, and Carlton on the block right now, like, what do those conversations sound and look like? Because then we can put that into what happens in a Caldecott book, right? In a character. So, like, let me show you how to write this essay. Let me show you how to connect this to research. So you can write your own book, you can write your own research, and connect to some of those things that are going to get you money in both ways, from the academia and from the street. Because at the end of the day, people come to the street to learn what to do, what to wear, how to move, how to swag, how to wear your hair. Like, what dance is popping? They come to us, right? We're feeding so much. So now it's time for us to monetize that. And I'm just learning that myself in the past few months, being at home, right? But that's a journey that I've been on. But if we can tap into our young boys and kings early and let them know that, you know, and that's where I put in the chat, the Fortune Society. That is, if I had any amount of money, I would give it to them. The things they do with people in their re-entry is dynamic. I mean, it's just dynamic. Look them up. I don't have any ties to them. But there are people out here doing the work. And I think one of the things that I don't mind, and I agree with what Dame said, it institutionalized. Like, after I left, like, you know, visit, you know, for church, I do a prison ministry. Like, it looks like school. Why does it have to be this color? Why do the walls have to be like this? Why do kids have to walk in lines and be quiet? Like, we need to stop that. right? And it's prison mentality. We're teaching them to be robots and to follow rules. I'm not saying that following rules is not important, but we need to shift things up, because in my current district, the kids don't have to wear uniforms. They don't have to walk in lines, and they don't have to be quiet walking in the hallway. And so I think a lot of that comes from us not being the upper echelon all the time, and knowing that I am you, I am Jordan, I am Malik, I am Carlton, I am Dane. And so I think those are things that are certain, that's key. So thank you, Jordan, for saying that. It just sparked that in my mind.
Sister, totally agree.
Yeah, and I wanna add, I think what Carl said is important about like fathers and just older males being the coach of the younger kids, because the kids, they need more people they can identify with, you know what I'm saying, especially in the schools. I used to work in the schools, and I was able to identify with a lot of the young males because they can relate to me, you know what I'm saying. A lot of the adults that are in the school, I don't think a lot of the kids, especially the kids from the street, relate to them a certain way. So I think mentorship is important in programs. I was about 5 years old when my father was taken away. My father did like 27 years, and I was a part of a program that helped me, and it was the mentorship of, you know, a lot of the older dudes that was around, and they helped raise me in the right way, and it was dudes that I could identify with that wasn't in my school. You know, it was some of the dudes that I may see in the streets, and they was able to guide me in the right direction. So I think mentorship is very important.
Well said, Faybeck.
Hey, Dan, can I speak?
I was about to give you a layup, Dr. Action. You can't be on here and not speak. That's a doctor on here.
Yeah, I just want to say, hey, I didn't get a chance to see the viewing. I was at church, but I'm on, and I've heard the last couple of, like, half an hour, 45 minutes. And what the brother just said was something that I wanted to talk about when we talk about mentorship, because being a principal of an elementary school, it is very difficult to find black male educators that want to be in the elementary school as teachers. And that is very critical stages and very critical time, formulation time of formative years for our black males and for our black females. So don't forget that there are young little black girls who need to see positive black role models, male black role models as well. Because the rate for girls in gangs and in prisons, because I think girls are forgotten about when they're in prison too, because we hear so much about black males, but the prison rate for black girls is just as probably as high or getting as close to our black males. But my point is, if we have more black males who are interested in going into education, and then specifically elementary school, then we can begin to deposit in the young babies their self-worth. So by the time they get to Dr. Malik in middle school, they get to when they get to Aqua in high school, that the foundation is already there, and Malik and the Maliks of this world and the Aquas of this world can build on it. Because research says by the time you turn, a male more specifically turns 11, they've already established, they've already had their ways set in them, and so it's more difficult to change them. And when you think about the village aspect or the village mentality, in the villages back in Africa, when they're 11, they are taken into the wild to begin to go through their rites of passage to become men at 11. And that's the same thing that happens in our streets. 11 years old, you start, you want to carry this package? Let me be a little messenger at 11, and sometimes as young as 8. And so we need to have some real representation in the early grades. And as far as Carlton, if he's willing to come and speak to little babies in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, my school is also available for that too. Thank you.
So, I'm going to leave, we can wrap this up. Anyone that wants to say something in closing, because there's a lot of people here I respect. I don't want to miss anybody. So, wait. One more thing. Lucien from Chicago. I got to kick it with you for about 2 weeks, and we made a movie in Wyoming. And, a lot of whatever it was, it felt like I'd known you for a long time. Can you give me your take on what you saw, and and everything that comes with that? Because I want to hear your voice from Chicago.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, my name's Gucci. My name's Gucci. Man, I got a tune with Dame in Wyoming, man, at the time of my life. But I just been listening, thinking, and I think that of course we grab the children, and we of course we want to catch the children early, but I think there's less of us as there is broken adults. And if we can help heal adults, then I think that's when we began problems. I was also locked up, man, and that
You got 3 on one side.
endless realm, of men in and out of the joint. But I felt what I learned myself was.
Everybody got something to say too. All right.
But I
one side, he switches to the other side. What you mean?
that teaching men, teaching men to read and to write and all that was critical. It broke my heart. I did it with purely an emotional reason why I did it. But teaching men to read and write, so when they did get out, they could read and write. And that kind of sparked the idea of fixing or putting more effort into trying to fix adults so they can then fix their own kids. And it's not left up to the Mustafas and the doctors, and the teachers, the principals of the world to carry that burden. That's a huge burden to bear, in my opinion. So, that's kind of my take on the whole on this whole discussion. But I think that we need to fix men. We need to fix men. And I don't think there's anybody that can do it except our women. So, man, that's kind of where I'm at with it right now.
All right.
Amen.
So, does anybody want to close out? Anybody want to say anything? My thing is, go ahead, my man, check.
Yep. So I wanted to add something. So, Principal Jocko, like the words that you said really resonated with what I went through as a child as well. And first of all, Dame, appreciate you putting that video together. It was amazing. Look at the life that you lived, as well as Whip and Brother Carlton, how you essentially transcended from there. But back to Dr. Jocko, what you were saying earlier, Principal Jocko was like, when I was growing up, I had to go to a continuation school in Stockton, California. This was like during the entire recession, and it was the second most depressed city. And they had a hard time keeping kids in that school because it was a continuation setting. But the principals and the teachers all made an effort to kind of keep everybody in touch and treated everybody personally. And I think that touch, because I went through that and I had such great mentors in that particular school, it led me to a more successful career in college, where I didn't even think I was going to go to college. And now I'm working on a very successful business within the tech space where I'm working with PhDs and master level people. So I think it definitely starts when you're younger, and I feel like that impact that it makes is very essential. And if you can kind of give that to the kids who are coming up, it can ripple effects not only on the family but everybody involved. So yeah, thank you guys for giving me that space to speak.
All right. Anybody want to say anything? Carlton, anybody?
Hey, Dame.
Hey. We got a superintendent on the phone.
Good evening, everyone. So
I'm starting my doctorate, and I got to see the beginning of the film, and then I didn't see the end. But what resonated for me is the brother from Chicago when he talked about healing our men. And when I was a principal, what I saw that was powerful and impactful on our children was the times when we invited their fathers in. Dads, take your child to work day, and we had restorative activities and circles for conversation for their fathers. And what we discovered is that our men want to talk. They want to get healed. They want to learn from each other and share in each other's triumph and tragedy. And so when we think about how we use the various platforms to sow into our children, really looking to create space for healing the families, their mothers, their fathers, opening up our schools as places that can serve communities, because if the family is healthy, then the child can be healthy. So I think we're onto something when we think about fixing men and fixing women in service to our children. I've been thinking about that a lot in the past few days as I think about my study. Heal a family, then you get a healthy child. And so that's what I wanted to add. So thank you for sharing your story, and for letting us bear witness to your truth and for speaking that truth to power. I thank you, Dame, for this platform and for inviting us. I appreciate that.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you for that. I think you take the mute on. Anyone else? Because I'm going to close it up. Colin, you want to say something? I'm going to close it out? Wait, I think he's on mute.
He has to unmute himself.
Colin, you got to unmute yourself.
I'm on mute.
You good. Go ahead.
Nah, I'm just bugging.
Go ahead, I can hear you now.
Oh, yeah?
We're going to close it out.
I wasn't saying, I'm just happy to be home, man. You know, we all got to go through our life experiences. Learn from just so have mine.
Nigga, what's in your cup?
Huh?
What's in that cup right there?
What cup?
I thought I saw a cup. I see a cup right there.
Oh, nothing.
Yeah. I know what I got mine. I want to thank everyone. I love everyone on this Zoom. Everything y'all bring to the table. I always learn something. I learned a lot today. I appreciate my brother for his friendship and the love. You know, I don't see him for 18 years. I see him as like we never left. And everything that he's done, that he's learned from. I want to keep the principals safe. I want to thank everyone that came through. Therapists, anyone from congressmen, teachers, principals, OGs. I love y'all. And every week I got something new to show y'all. My challenge to y'all is show me something. But I love y'all. I love y'all. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dan. Good night. Thank you.
All right, y'all. Love y'all. Thank you.
All right, peace, man.
Peace.
If you want another amazing video with the one and only Dame Dash, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.